The courage of little Rachel de Beer. About 100 years ago, the de Beer family went to live in a little frontier house in the foothills of the Drakensberg Mountains, where the winters are white and deathly cold. Herman de Beer was a poor farmer, with just a few cows and some sheep and goats. He had 2 children. The girl, Rachel, was small for her years and slender, but she was hard-working and a great help to her parents. The de Beers had not been living in the little hut-beer's house in the foothills for long, when one afternoon, at the onset of winter, they saw great clouds massing over the mountains. Soon a great wind came howling from the heights, bringing a black mantle of storm clouds in its wake. Now the de Beers had not yet wintered there, but neighbours had told them that neither man nor beast could survive a Drakensberg snowstorm without shelter. So, as the black clouds sank over them and the wind lashed the long grasses, Herman de Beer called to his labourers and family to run and bring the animals to the shelter of the kraal. Rachel helped to carry the lambs into the warm house and then ran out to watch the storm. It was almost dark, and driving sleet struck her face. Just as her father was closing the kraal, he noticed a calf was missing. At his shout, everyone ran into the falling darkness to look for it. Rachel's mother hesitated. She did not want to leave her small son in the house alone. He was barely 5 years old. Let him go with Rachel. She'd keep him safe. Rachel took him by the hand. "We won't go far, Kleinbutt," she said. They ran down the hill through the hissing grasses, while the thunder in the mountains and the scream of the wind broke loose upon the world. Snow whirled around them, and the wind turned the rain to ice. They ran, calling the lost calf, straining their ears for an answering bleat. But only the dark bushes flapped at them, and the falling snow wiped out all the familiar landmarks that could have led them home. They had lost their way. Rachel stood still then, and knelt down beside Kleinbutt. He was crying, and his body trembled with cold. His icy hands were too stiff to hold hers anymore, his dark eyes huge with fright. Rachel took off her jacket and wrapped it round him, then picked him up and began to stagger uphill in the direction she thought home might lie. Still there was no flickering light ahead, and Kleinbutt cried from the cold. So she took off her bonnet and wrapped it round his head. But the driving sleet soaked him to the skin, and so again Rachel stopped and took off her dress, binding it tightly about him. For a while his crying stopped, and Rachel stumbled on, dazed with cold. She knew now that they would not find the little house. If only, somewhere. Then she stumbled on an ant-heap, half hidden by snow. It made her think of the backyard in which Mother baked her bread. Now, if only she could get Kleinbutt into the ant-heap, then surely she could keep him warm. Quickly she laid him down and scratched with her numb fingers at the ant-heap. After a while she found a stone. Digging and shoveling, she began to carve out a hollow, and she told Kleinbutt to scrape away the loose earth. Her arms ached, and she no longer felt her frozen hands, but she went on hacking until there was a little cave there, just big enough to shelter Kleinbutt from the piercing wind. She was shaking now as she took off even her shift and put it on him. Then she pushed him into the hollow ant-heap and lay against him, sheltering him from the wind's cold fingers with her body. By now, away on their ridge, Herman de Beer and his wife were no longer looking for the calf, but calling their lost children. With blankets under their arms and lanterns held high, Herman and his labourers stumbled through the snowy veldt, shouting for Rachel and Kleinbutt, firing shots. But in vain. It was not until a red dawn bled slowly across the white mountains that a farmhand came upon the ant-heap. Beside it, half covered in snow, lay the naked body of Rachel. Her body, as white as the snow upon it, covered the entrance to the hollow ant-heap, and there, curled up, stunned with cold, but alive, was Kleinbutt. No wonder that one of the most loved and remembered names we know is that of Rachel de Beer, who at 12 had the courage and devotion to give her own life so that her brother might live.